I wear many hats. Anybody that watches my channel knows that I used to have way more hats, but a man. Well, I don't know. One of the missions to planet Earth that you may wish to pass up is the mission to free the ISBEs. ISBEs. ISBE. It's an extraterrestrial term for a sentient awareness. I'm not sure if I can say sentient. An ISB is, always make it simple. You, listening to this, are indeed an ISB. You is and you be. And we consider you a person sentient. How about somebody who has really bad dementia, advanced dementia so bad that, if you say their name Manny, they don't even look at you. There's nobody there. But there's a little bit of something there of Manny still, because when it's bath time, Manny starts to sing. Not in English and gibberish, but it's definitely singing. It happens. So we would say that with advanced dementia, Manny still has an ISB inside of him. The ISB is the thing that sings at bath time. So, consciousness-wise, the average house dog has far more consciousness than Manny, the old guy with dementia in the old folks' home. All the same, we would never dream of putting Manny to sleep. Well, in Canada these days, maybe they would. It hasn't really been broached, the subject of what to do with long-term people that are, in old folks' homes that are expected to die, and once they get to a certain, I don't know, at least where I worked, euthanasia wasn't allowed to be discussed because it's a Catholic organization. And I think the Roman Catholic Church, I don't know what their current policy is on euthanasia. Anyway, Canada, where I live, does have a policy on euthanasia. And, I know somebody who I was told took, the poison Dyson spear that kills off your physical human form because you've been told you have some horrible disease. Maybe it was Parkinson's or something. Okay, anyways, the mission to rescue ISBEs is fraught with dangers and hazards. Because the ISBEs that we have left are terrorists. Now, why on earth would you think that we would have a mission to rescue the ISBEs of terrorists? It's a mission that I've involuntarily been asked to talk about. What makes a person choose over and over and over again to be a terrorist? that we would call mind. Is awareness mind? Like the awareness of me, is it mind? No. What about my mind, Bob? My mind, Bob, is not it's very changeable. It's not tightly bound to me, and other people, the demonic, can put their mind right next to my awareness. Yes. Is it a technical point? No, because when I've seen it with my own being, that's why the mission to rescue the Isbies is on the table. Because if my mind can be hijacked by advanced technology or advanced superpowers, then perhaps the mind, well, not the mind, but the awareness of the terrorist is forever imprisoned in a horrible, horrible mind. The terrorist mind. Could it be so? I think so, yes. It is the most horrific thing to ponder. That there are Isbies that are trapped because they were associated with mad minds. The Isbie of Adolf Hitler. The Isbie of Osama bin Laden. Stuart Wilde, the metaphysical author and visionary, told us of a place called The Wall, where horrible people like those two and the minions that worked with them might go for their afterlife. Vast, uncounted numbers of them from the galaxy, I suppose. You could look it up on stuartwilde.com, STUARTWILDE.com. And you could look up The Wall that might be there, or I don't know, there's a lot of interesting ones. You could also look up Tea with Hitler. Anyways, it's just the thought that if these terrorist minds are encasing an Isbie, what's an Isbie then? An Isbie is an awareness of what's presented to it. And I'm saying it's not the mind, although it may be fused with a mind, an evil mind. It can be unfused and rescued from living forever with the mind of a terrorist, the mind of a psychopath, etc. How do we do this mission? The devils that bedevil me are the ones that asked me to talk about this because they want me to save their bacon from going into the Baconator, otherwise known as the Lake of Fire, where, Hanuman from India says that's where they belong. But, it's just that we have got other spiritual documentation. The book, Yogic Sutras of Patanjali, by Christopher Isherwood and others, that says that God can remove samskaras and vrittis. Paraphrased. Samskaras and vrittis are whirlpools in the mind where traits get stuck. A whirlpool that continues to bring Eve the rat back every day so that she can be this cartoon character. This is Edith. So Eid the rat is a male, and we called him Eid for Edith a long time ago as an insult. And then we heard A Boy Named Sue by Johnny Cash, and all of a sudden Eid the rat was grinning and gloating and saying, "You actually gave me the coolest name ever." Well, we did. Anyway, this is Eid the rat dressed up in drag. It does fly. And it loves to go and try. Well, it sends a horrible energy, like it's trying to give you a crack whore blowjob. Now, do I see Eid the rat flying around in this room? No. Does it fly around in this room? Yeah, we think it's a virtual reality overlay that I can't see. I can't see the virtual reality, but the thought is that the humans that do operate the virtual reality impose it on me, and then sometimes I'll get a vision from it gets sent there somehow. I mean, you close your eyes and sometimes you'll see things. It could be from the spirit. Yes, the spirit is a God for me. Does allow this because it's part of the great sting. The great sting is the great Q. Remember QAnon, Donald Trump, and it was 42,000 sealed indictments of bad people years ago that were never unsealed, and people are still adding to the crime because it's a period where everybody has a long-term period where it's a lawless land and great crimes can be done. Just ask, Imperial Oil, who got $500 million in COVID compensation from Justin Trudeau, and I think there was $400 million that went to Air Canada. And yet in the city of Thunder Bay, when they ask for an indoor sports complex, they're turned down. Who pays the taxes? The people of Thunder Bay. What about Imperial Oil? Well, Imperial Oil, I don't know. Why did they get paid? And not the people of Thunder Bay. This is what it is, lawless land. And the government starts issuing checks to J.D. Rockefeller of the 1%, then you know that, it's a lawless land. So that's what's going on. Every dirty deal that can be done. Dirty Deals Done Dirt Cheap was the song by AC/DC. So, we are expecting at some time that the U.S. military will come on every major news channel and tell everybody exactly what I've told you, and then all the dirty details of all the crime will be presented to you on TV by militaries from around the world, because it's a military coup that went on right now. Who runs the world? The militaries. I mean, they have puppet people in front of them that are doing the crime, to let people know that it is a lawless land and that the nuclear codes are firmly held by the military and there will not be a nuclear war. Even though they might talk about it over and over again, because they want to see when people are panicked, if there's a panic and an immediate threat of nuclear annihilation, will that prompt you to do crime? Everybody is being tested because this is a purgatorial realm, planet Earth. It is. We learned that from David R. Hawkins of Consciousness Research. Okay, so back to Patanjali, Yogic Sutras of Patanjali, because it said God can remove vrittis and samskaras. Our definition, again, of vrittis and samskaras, those are words from Sanskrit. I never took Sanskrit, but in general parlance, Brent Beeson and the Beeson brother devils would say vrittis and samskaras are things that can be removed from mind to make it non-toxic, to make that mind of a terrorist non-toxic. Well, it does say that. It doesn't say, take them out of the mind specifically of a criminal, but it does say in that book that God can remove them. And then, well, we'll just leave you at that. I can't go beyond that. But we want to remind you that in Star Wars, we think it was one of the last Star Wars movies, C-3PO was reprogrammed into Sith, Sith, which made him a demonic robot when he had been of the light all the way up to that time. And then he was switched back. He switched back into a light form. We've seen in Star Trek, the original series, the episode Mirror, Mirror, where one version of Mr. Spock was ethical, moral, and the other one in the Mirror universe, not so much. People can change, yes. I'm muscle tested. Fred Baker of Thunder Bay, noted hardcore alcoholic, and noted sterling silver example of a reformed alcoholic who, through muscle testing, his previous past life, he had been something like a rattlesnake or a Komodo dragon, something, nasty and reptilian. We got that, yep. And at the time when he, was announced as having passed on, he calibrated at 600 on the scale of human consciousness. So we went from about 45 to 600 in one lifetime. 600 is the level of a saint, yes, and also of a perfect. What's a perfect? It's the title of someone who's at a sainthood at 600, and you'll see that it's me, because even the hotel knew. Can you see this here? It should say, right there. Where's my finger? Oh, it's right there. Sorry, there it is. Right there. Perfect comfort. It's for the comfort of a perfect. That's me. Because I calibrated 600. Anyways, Fred Baker did leave planet Earth at 600. And he had come in as a rattlesnake, a horrible, horrible alcoholic, so we're told. And it was the intervention of the family and AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and lots of work working with the Catholic Church. So these things can be done in one lifetime. Enormous jumps in consciousness. So can the terrorists themselves? No. The devils that have bedeviled me for 6 years are still bedeviling me. Are some of them changed? Well, the ones that are asking me to intervene on their behalf so they don't go to the lake of fire are not redeemed. So I don't know, because I don't know. I don't know. All the same, it is harvest time, so it is not a normal time in human history. Harvest time is a galactic, everybody gets passed to the next grade. Does everybody get the pass or no is the big question. It's scary because it does say that devils can get kicked to the next level, from third density to fourth density. Yes, the story of devilish, demonic people is in the Law of One. It's frightening. You better believe it, it's frightening. Aaron Abke, A-B-K-E, on YouTube. Go look it up. Law of One, everything, and you can look detailed Law of One about, negative entities, because it's frightening. Especially if you meet a fifth dimensional dark elf named Rumpelstiltskin. I did. And Well, because there's dimensions. Oh my God! Well, the fifth because the law of one is densities, but general parlance we call it the fifth dimension. It's a different dimension. We went from the third. The fourth dimension is all where hazardous things can happen. You can meet really nasty things in the fourth dimension, and by the fifth dimension, those horrible things are not supposed to be there at all. By the fifth dimension. I see. This is what happens. I get attacked when I'm here. So is this the fifth dimension where I am? No. This is third dimensional Earth with fourth dimensional things that happen. Yes. Is it any different than when I was born? Yes. When I was a youngster, when I don't know, let's go 9 years old, if I walked home from Peter McDonald's house, he lived on Chestnut Street, and I would walk to Park Row. If I walked by streetlights, the streetlights would go off. Yes. Yeah, pretty much. Was it me? Yeah. My aura. Yeah. And does that still happen? Yeah, from time to time I get these things. So things are way more cuckoo pants than they ever were. Synchronicities and matrix glitches and constant attacks by the demonic. Anyway, the demonic are unrepentant and, they deserve the lake of fire, and I've talked about that. All the same, they're putting out a faint hope clause that at harvest time will they surrender. And the answer is the game of Highlander, which was a TV show and movies. Clancy Brown, is he a sir? Is Sean Connery a sir? Sean Connery? We don't know. Anyways, those movies about Highlander, about who gets to be the demons say, the supernatural winner. I don't know. Anyways, of the one person takes the prize of being a Highlander, which is, the prince of the world. And whether Sean Connery was demonic in that movie, I don't know. I didn't see him deal with other people. They were just the other Highlanders. It does say in the law of one that demonic entities have to end up serving somebody. So, for example, Darth Vader had to serve the evil emperor, Palpatine. You gotta serve somebody. Serve somebody. And last week I was telling you can only serve one master, according to the Bible, God, or Mammon. And Mammon, the devils want to expand it from money to being the devils associated with money, greed and things, mail frauds, kiting checks, bucketing and stockbroking. So, if you did a lot of Ho'oponopono, could you change the information that's in terrorist minds? Yes. According to the metaphysical theories given to us by Hugh Len, E. Haleakala Hugh Len. When are we going to get lucky? And, well, how much Ho'oponopono have you done lately, kids? I love you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. Thank you. It's not a mantram. But if you watch E. Haleakala Hugh Len on YouTube, I'm sure he'll give you a good discussion of that. E. Haleakala. I gotta write it down. Just a moment. Okay, there it is. E. Haleakala Hugh Len. Hopefully you can see it. Ihaleakala. Hugh is Hew. Len is Len. So, there's a story Osho tells it in one of his tarot cards. He's got a lot of tarot cards. And we always say it's how Hakun got the finger. Well, there's a number, it's in the Transformation Tarot, and there's a story of one person who did want to be a bodhisattva to a serial killer. So it's not unknown. There was also a story, I don't know, in the past 10 years where there were missionaries from America that went to a tropical island off the coast of somewhere in Asia, where it was reserved for original indigenous people who were, oh by the way, headhunters and cannibals. Anyways, this group of young missionaries, maybe they were from Salt Lake City, dove off of a boat that they hired to go illegally and drop them off at a forbidden island, forbidden to everybody except for those indigenous people that lived there. And the story was that indeed they were found, and the indigenous were not interested in Mormonism, and they did have, a cannibal feast of long pork. Long pork is human flesh cooked with the same recipes as pork, pig pork, long pork. Now, that would be one way that you could work on the Ho'oponopono, work on freeing Isbies from their terrorist mind. Would it work? We think it would. So, Ho'oponopono, and why would you want to do it for terrorists? Because if you can deactivate people who are criminal terrorists, then it's good for everybody planet-wide. And some of the memory traits, mental patterns of terrorists might also be found in, you. Depersonalizing other humans. An example, people who listen to Dolores Cannon on YouTube talk about the 3 waves of volunteers, and then listen to her talk about backdrop people. Backdrop people, according to Dolores Cannon, aren't people. They're holographic projections of spirit. And the demonic looks at that as a license to go and treat everybody as if they're an item. The strange movie The Purge, where everybody gets a chance to go out and do murder and whatever. Treating everybody like, they have a barcode. Everybody's an item, How many of these balls would you find at Walmart? Lots and lots and lots. Walmarts all over the world. They all have this barcode. Is that the same as every human being? Because if you listen to crazy Dolores, who tells you backdrop people aren't real, that is a shitty teaching, Dolores. Well, and she might say she got it from subconscious mind. I'm going to say whatever you call a subconscious mind is demonic. So just because you get interesting stories from Dolores Cannon doesn't mean she's got, every story she tells is a good story for us to be basing our spirituality on. But a lot of people do that, lazy-minded people. Dolores told us the story, the reason why there was an AIDS epidemic was because people that got AIDS wanted to elicit compassion in other human beings. There's a lot of stupid things that she writes down. All the same, the idea of 3 waves of volunteers is caught on and helping people get the idea that they can be a starseed and, help us with light working duties. So, just don't throw the babies out with the bathwaters and vice versa. Hugh Len of Ho'oponopono calls his version Sith. Ho'oponopono. The same as Darth Vader's order of, Highlanders, Dark Highlanders. Sith. He calls it self-identity through Ho'oponopono. Darth Vader would say, well, he's Lord Vader of the Sith. So, doing that seems to be a spiritual practice of the Sith. So, if you're a left-hand path kind of person and you want to find a Sith prayer, self-identity through Ho'oponopono. Well, I don't know, you might have to, if you're satanic, you might invert it, because it's, I love you, so you would change that to, I hate me, or something. Please forgive me. Well, Rumpelstiltskin would say, what does forgive me? And then we had a long talk, and in the end, we don't know what forgive means. Let it go? I don't know. You can never really let it go, can you? Well, you're always going to remember, unless you had a mind wipe or something. Please forgive me for give. Give something to me. Well, Rumpy always wants something for free. For Rumpy. Forgive means give something to Rumpy. Rumpelstiltskin, yeah, sorry. Yeah. But anyways, I give him a gold star with a black around the outside, his favorite kind, because they like to get those stars when they're, feeling, like good students. Okay, the next Ho'oponopono phrase is, I love you, please forgive me. I'm sorry. Rumpy would say, I'm sorry. Secret sorry. Not sorry at all, but, that's the way he would say it. Well, it's kind of a gloating, as in, what the hell do you think you're going to do about it? And then for me, it's usually, unfortunately, there's nothing I can do. I love you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. Thank you. Well, you haven't met Mr. Thank You. Mr. Thank You is a Hawaii family member. Hawaii is part of the Beeson Brothers crime family of terrorists. Anyways, Mr. Thank You will give you a thank you all the time, enough to drive you insane. He doesn't mean thank you. He says thank you the way Mr. Yeah says it. It's an annoyance. And there are associates of Mr. Atkinson. That's Dr. Atkinson of the clinic, where you go if you want to have sex change operations. And then he takes the parts, and then he puts them on the dark web and sells them, human testicles for, people that have had prairie oysters, in Calgary, Alberta. That's what they are. They're bull's testicles after they've been castrated. They fry them up in butter and whatever. Well, they're on the dark web, there's the vampires at the, what do you call it, the Viper Room? What's that song? Well, it's a Tom Petty song about free falling or something, and the vampires come out of the valley or something, and they go to the Viper Room. And then they fed on River Phoenix. Now, is River Phoenix alive as a vampire? For that, we need to talk to Benji. Benji is one of the vampires. He was killed at about age 12, so he looks about age 12, but I don't know, he'd probably be, 35 or something now. Well, he's aged, but, vampire bodies don't age. The famous one is an Interview with the Vampire. Claudia was killed as a human when she was, 7 years old or something, but then she's, hundreds of years old as a vampire. They say she burned up in a fire. Santino, maybe. Does she have an ISB? Claudia. Well, these are so-called fictional characters, but can they be real? We are told that if characters are loved, fictional characters are loved, and then love can bring people to life. The story of Pinocchio, he was made out of wood, and then the carpenter Geppetto loved the boy enough to turn him into a real boy. Which would mean that, that these characters could be loved into real. So anyways, I don't know where you want to go with this, because I get back to this mission of, dismantling the atomic bomb of people we call mentally ill to severe degrees, like Hannibal Lecter or Jeffrey Dahmer. So we're going to leave you with Sith, Ho'oponopono. Now, if you do it the Luciferian way, will it work? It might. Because those bits of memory might be Sith memory that won't respond to general galactic English. They need to be told, you're a fuckface, a little thing, and then it's going to smile and say, whoa, Bob called me a fuckface. Well, it must be the real Mr. Bob, because there's nobody that can call people a fuckface quite like Bobby Burrows. And that might be enough to trigger just a glow of Bobby Burrows loves me. Because he gave me attention. And even though he called me a fuckface, that was the only thing that was going to let me know for sure that it was the authentic Bobby Burrows. I got called a fuckface, and all of a sudden, bloop, his consciousness changed from, 1,000 years of being a demonic thing living in fencing. Demonic things like to live in fences. Yeah, between neighbors and cities, we got those little wired fences. Mesh fences, yeah, those little places in between, demonic things live there. Sometimes you can see a picture of it, maybe at thehoodedsage.com. The Hooded Sage. H-O, hooded, this is a hoodie. Hooded Sage, S-A-G-E.com. Or maybe try stuartwilde.com, STUARTWILDE.com. What else? What other ways that you could spiritually work on freeing Isbies from people altogether? Well, that's the whole point. Because the kind of mind that we're talking about, even the terrorist mind, yes, even the terrorist mind is ego mind. And if you can ditch the ego, then you have the story of Paul of Tarsus, St. Paul, the 13th apostle, because he was a devil when he was known as Saul. He persecuted Christians. And then he had a vision of Jesus on the way to Damascus. So you can go and read, I'm not sure. They think it's Acts of the Apostles, but I'm not sure. But you can look in the New Testament for the story of Saul. Our other favorite Saul is Saul Ty. S-A-U-L. It's very much a Jewish name, and Ty is T-I-G-H-E. I'm not sure what that means. Saul Ty, Colonel Ty from Battlestar Galactica. I was an extra on that show. But anyways, Saul Ty is quite a character, and he fortifies his nerves with booze. B-O-O-Z-E. Booze. Is booze a good thing to steel your knees with? Yes. If you've got, if you have got to go someplace, and you've got very sore joints, If, for example, you were snowboarding and you impacted a large boulder at high rate of speed and, you cracked your ribs and you had to go to a function. It was a once-a-year function, well, once-in-a-lifetime function. It was a Christmas party for non-Christians. Then you can use the miracle drug called booze. Because if you apply booze, you can make pain disappear quite a bit. The problem is that, it's a temporary thing, and if you rely upon it every day to get you through your day, then you're known as Auntie Helen. My Auntie Helen Blackwood, who is the expert at helping us determine what is going on in the National Enquirer, because that's what this is. So we're talking today about the National Enquirer. It's about Queen Camilla, who apparently has got a killer STD. She is into torture, slavery, and cheating at cards. There she is, Queen Camilla. And she's known as the Punisher, because that's the name of that one. So Camilla is the Punisher, which is a new hoodie you can get from Marvel Comics. Now, what else do we want to tell you? Well, that's what they are into. Did you know that she's related to Jack the Ripper, Prince Eddie? This was an older prince from, 1865, at the time of Sherlock Holmes. I don't know. It says she's related to the singer Madonna. I've had enough. Auntie Helen says, you can't wear this hat. She says, I'm not drunk enough. She's not drunk enough for her to help me out interpreting. So we're going to leave you with Eat the Rat in Drag, Edith, and they're blocking her normal name from me because she was known as Edith. She's a Toadash demon. Toadash demons are from Stephen King Dark Tower wiki. And she's one of those. Prim. Edith from the Prim. Edith Prim. She won't let me tell you, but the pink color she wears in affiliation with Dolores from Harry Potter. Dolores Claiborne. No. Dolores, anyway, she was the one that took a pen to Harry Potter's arm and burnt it. That Dolores. Umbridge. Rochelle Dougal knows Dolores Umbridge too. I agree, she is Casa Verdes. Casa Verdes, verde is that Spanish for green. Casa Verdes is the green castle. Never go there. Rumpelstiltskin says Casa Verdes. It's a bad place. And if Rumpelstiltskin says it's a bad place for Rumpelstiltskin. Is it a bad place for me? Over the years, earlier on, I would say yes. If he said it's Casa Verdes, then it's Casa Verdes for everybody. Could it be? I've told the demonic too that the Seaview Motel is Casa Verdes for them. Well, it's where they lose their heads. In the olden days, in the French Revolution, 1700s, Marie Antoinette, the Queen, said, "Let them eat cake," when the people had no food at all. And they were famous for saying "off with their heads" to their people that they didn't like. And then what happened to Marie Antoinette? Well, off with her head happened. And the Comte Saint-Germain warned them. Saint-Germain as Ascended Master, the Violet Flame of Saint-Germain, you can look it up on YouTube. It helps burn off horrible karma. So that's what you could do. You could do the Violet Flame of Saint-Germain to work on trying to get rid of the horrible on the planet somehow. Will the lake of fire cleanse the demonic so that they can come out later? No. Not as far as I know. Why doesn't the demonic just take it upon themselves to drop their demonic ways? Well, there's Mr. Narcissist, Dr. Narcissist on YouTube who has done that as a feat of redemption. He studied himself, and clearly the man understands himself and psychology, because he talks about other people that are narcissists. You listen to him because he was a first-class horse ass, and then he talks about everything. Narcissistic supply, it's louche. What's louche? It's just horrible, making people feel horrible, and then feeding on that. Anywho, it's true in the law of one. There is what's known as catalyst. Catalyst, King Ludwig of Bavaria gave me a lovely lecture, and YouTube took down my platform because I tell too many truths. But anyways, Ludwig did tell us about you get two enormous egos in the same room, and well, they're like battling tops, and they bounce off one another. And it's like in the olden days, we had rock polishing machines that you could get at Lil's Hobby Lobby. You put your rocks in, and you put in a polishing compound, and you turn it on, and you let it run for days and weeks. And the rough edges of the rock would be polished off, and you get smooth stones. And that is what catalyst is from the law of one. Aaron Abke on YouTube is an excellent teacher of law of one, ABKE. So will that happen to the terrorists on the planet? Off with their heads. Well, after so many times of off with your heads, do you think that maybe they're going to... At a soul level, Hanuman would say yes. Would Hanuman ever let them out of the lake of fire? I don't think they use that philosophy. That's a Christian philosophy. In India, well, the devil, Brent Beeson, thinks Asura demons, and they don't stay Asura demons forever, because in Buddhist philosophy, you don't stay anything forever. You move your Isbi from one lifetime to another. Is that right? We think so. We're not sure how much mind goes with the Isbi. Buddhists say not very much at all, but a flavoring of your previous lives seems to go. We don't want the flavoring to leave people who are demonic. But then again, I mean, the story of the Red Lion starts with Flamel, who was a murderer. The Red Lion, Lion, by Maria Zepes, Szepes. We do recommend that one, and you can listen to a chapter of it on YouTube for free, and we do recommend you go there, because it's all about reincarnation and the path of one Isbi from lifetime to lifetime as different kinky characters, ending up in the final lifetime as a Tibetan, who we all know are of the highest consciousness officially, and then beyond that, then the Tibetans who go incognito, and incarnate as, whatever, wherever. As bodhisattvas, maybe they come as cats, perhaps. So the problem of the Isbis that are trapped by mind now has been put on the table for people to consider. Now, the problem with this is if you're going to deal DOD directly, Department of Defense, and you wanted to tackle specific demonic characters from the present, past, and future, well, Dr. David R. Hawkins of Consciousness Research told us, don't go into astral worlds, because you can get lost there. So if your ISB is in astral worlds, don't go there. Don't astral project. Well, I think we've come to Mexican standoff. We'll pass the conch to the Lady Notochord.